Today on Monkey Life. There's some exciting news at the Woolly Monkey House.
The baby's moving, so that's about as sure we can be that she's healthy and things are going well.
New arrival O'Sheen has an eventful first night in her new home.
She took down the cat flap and then she used that material to break the camera. So, oh dear.
And Hananya's gang go nuts when they're released into their revamped outside enclosure. This is Monkey World. Nestled deep in the English countryside, it's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 16 different species. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world, giving many a second chance to live a happy and fulfilling life. Monkey World is predominantly a rescue centre, but it does breed a handful of species which are endangered. Among them are woolly monkeys. Woolly monkeys are found in South America in the forests of Brazil, Peru, Ecuador and Colombia. In the next 45 years, world populations of woolly monkeys are expected to decline by up to 80%. Woolly monkeys are notoriously difficult to breed in captivity, but Monkey World has been very successful. It's the only place in the world at the moment where woolly monkey numbers have been increasing. There are 13 woolly monkeys at the park, split into two groups. And headed up by alpha males Bueno and Lavar. Over the last 10 years, Monkey World has successfully bred 9 babies, possibly with 2 more on the way. Yarima is roughly 4 months pregnant and so far is doing very well. And over at Lavar's woolly group, there's more exciting news. Paquita is pregnant and it looks like she could give birth pretty soon.
Come on, miss.
Primate care staff member Holly is keeping a close eye on her.
So far we've felt a little pair of knees, we've felt what we think is a head, and each day all these little lumps are in a slightly different position, so we're confident that she's pregnant, not just overweight, and we're happy that the baby's moving, so that's about as sure we can be that she's healthy and things are going well. This is just a syringe of yoghurt. Paquita is particularly keen on yoghurt, so it's a nice treat for her to cooperate with us. Also, she has to be very close to the mesh to drink it, so it gives us a good chance to feel her stomach.
All the primates at Monkey World are taught to present different parts of their bodies to the keepers in return for treats. This allows the staff to carry out vital health checks.
I can just about feel your belly, missus.
The news of Paquita's pregnancy is particularly heartwarming because last year she lost her baby son Raoul in a tragic accident when he fell and suffered a head injury. The team were devastated, but a delighted Paquita has bounced back.
These guys are very easily stressed, so the best thing we can do for them is just to let them get on with it. Last time she did amazingly. She cleaned up her baby, carried him round and was feeding him by the time we arrived in at work. So fingers crossed everything goes as well this time, and hopefully it won't be too long.
Recently, orangutan Xiao Kuai surprised everyone by giving birth one morning in the middle of her outside enclosure. More often, primates will give birth at night, so it was quite unexpected. The team were thrilled.
We knew that Xiao Kuai was pregnant and was due to give birth sometime and then, next month or even 2. But the babies arrived and, we're really pleased about it.
Gordon is the father, and Kai is now a big brother. Everything came naturally to second-time mum Xiao Kuai.
baby's 6 days old, thriving, pooing, everything, which is a good actually testament to what we wanted to do with this baby. Let them get on with it, leave them alone, let Xiaokuai rear the baby. We know Xiaokuai is a great mum, and we so want orangs to be sociable with babies that we have let Xiaokuai give birth with Gordon, with Kai, with Xiaolan, and let it just happen, and just another day in the life of an orang.
2 months on, and the baby has been named Jin, which means handsome in Chinese. Jin spends his days gripping onto Mum as she carries him around.
Little Jin will be staying on his mum certainly for the next 6 months or so. Most monkeys, apes, the babies are able to hold on to their mother's fur from day one, because obviously most of them live in the trees. This means that the mother needs as many limbs as possible to climb through the trees. Now with orangutans, they are more arboreal than a lot of other monkeys or apes. They don't really spend any time on the ground at all in the wild. So they're born with quite a ferocious grip in their hands and feet. So even if the mother's moving about quite rapidly, climbing up and down trees, moving across branches, generally if the baby's healthy, it's able to hold on very, very tightly.
As Xiaokuai and Jin remain tightly together, Dad Gordon stays well out of the way. He knows when he's not wanted.
Gordon's shaping up as a typical orangutan dad, so he has nothing to do with the baby whatsoever. In the wild, they wouldn't really be in the same area as the babies. The pregnant mother would be off in their own territory, and it's the same deal here. Gordon's not particularly interested in the baby at all.
Kai is adapting well to having a new little brother around.
Maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks he was a little bit curious and also just a little bit put out because he was Mum's #1 son, favourite boy and all that kind of thing. But he's now come round to the fact that she's got this new baby. He's settled in quite well.
While Mum is busy, Dad Gordon's doing his bit to keep first son Kai amused.
They spend a lot of the time just rolling around, wrestling, chewing each other, biting each other, knocking each other over. Typical boys' games, very, very rough.
But orangs make great mums, and Xiaokuai still gives Kai plenty of attention. There are 4 chimp groups in the park. Hananyas are one of the youngest and liveliest. The group is led by big boy Hananya. He was 3 years old when he came to Monkey World from Israel in 1996 with 3 other chimps, Gypsy, Tico and Shemak.
They were together like as a group and they knew each other, and they actually lived in the nursery, which is where they met Arthur and Jess, and they got on really well in there.
The dominant male at the time was Rodney, and Hananya soon became his right-hand man.
He's a very good deputy, and he was a very good deputy alongside Rodney. And when, sadly, we lost Rodney passed away, it's Hananya inherited it.
Hananyas is a young group, so it took a while for them to settle and all find their place in the hierarchy. Hananya struggled to assert himself as a strong leader. He even missed out on food, unthinkable for an alpha male in his own group, because he wasn't used to asserting his dominance.
He just got dropped in at the deep end, and I must admit we did wonder whether he was up to it for a long time. And that's unfair, because really we were asking an awful lot of him.
But after his shaky start, and with the support of second-in-command Tico and the 2 dominant females, Cherry and Peggy, Hananya has firmly established himself as the leader.
They've evolved, and now Hananya's a, big grown-up boy, and he's inherited this group, which was Rodney's group, that's now Hananya's group. Although it hasn't been easy for him, he's done a really remarkably good job.
But in the past few weeks, Hananya's grip on the group has been tested, as maintenance work on their enclosure has forced them all to stay inside.
They've got 2 acres here, 2.5 acres, whatever it is, and that's great for relieving tension.
For the past 2 weeks, Hananya's group have been kept inside while their enclosure is updated. This is quite a challenge for such a boisterous group. and it's leader Hananya's job to keep them under control. When they're released into their renovated enclosure, there's always a risk they might test the security of the new overhang. But the team are well prepared and have installed some exciting new play equipment to surprise the chimps. The new addition that's bound to attract the most attention is their enormous 20-metre hose. The group are itching to get out. So Jeremy does some last-minute checks and the team brace themselves for the release of the chimps. The group are loving being back out in the open. The new hoses and apparatus will challenge their skills and fitness. Some need a bit of practice.
Simon did his thing of hurling himself through the air and coming crashing to the ground.
He's always loved anything acrobatic. Evelyn's really been testing everything, but some of the others as well. Arthur, I was surprised to see. He was being very agile.
But the group seem to be holding back from the new hose. If anyone's going to try it first, it's got to be Hananya. He shows that as the boss, he's also the bravest.
You know, a new toy in the playground. The big kid will always have a go on it until he's bored, and then the goes will filter down the hierarchy. Just look at kids in the playground. It's the little weedy kid who always gets the last go or has to creep up when everybody else has gone home or something to get a go.
Jeremy thinks Hananya did a great job in controlling the group while they were inside.
The group's continuity is actually getting there now. I mean, we've always said how Hananya's not the best leader and blah, 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 blah. And the group was our most volatile group in the park. And they still are, probably. But the fact they've been confined for the last 2 weeks and there's been no issues at all is a great testimony to how this group's getting itself together now. Hananya is the undisputed leader now. I mean, for a long time, he did it by just the fact he was bigger and stronger than anybody else without engaging any brain power. Whereas now, I don't think he's grown the brain, but it isn't disputed, you know, his authority in the same manner as it used to be.
One member of Hananya's gang is not enjoying the enclosure as much as everyone else. Trudy is one of the park's most well-known chimps and has been here for more than 12 years. She was badly mistreated before Monkey World rescued her and started life at the park very nervous and withdrawn. With the right care and attention, Trudy has since thrived and is now one of the most popular members of the group. But sadly, over the last 18 months, she's had continuous bad health.
We just weighed her and she's lost another 2 kilos, and 2 kilos on a little animal like this is significant. So there is, clearly we have some underlying thing happening.
First, the care staff tried to build her weight back up with a series of protein drinks, which seemed to help. But then she developed a swollen, bloated stomach and seems to be in pain again.
We need to do a bit more investigating and find out. I am very concerned for Trudy.
The team are desperate to get to the bottom of Trudy's problems.
We're just monitoring her at the moment, particularly when she's eating, just so we can see if there's certain things in the diet that she's picking out and eating more of than others. And then checking her during the day so we can see whether or not the bloating coincides with her eating more of certain items.
The chimps have a varied diet, so it's going to be a challenge to find out what might be disagreeing with Trudy. First, they cut out wheat. Every other day, the chimps are given a bread ball with essential vitamins. But for the last few weeks, Trudy's been given a rice ball instead. But she remains as bloated as ever. Nothing seems to be helping.
Can you see your belly? feel it? It is rock solid. Oh, does that hurt? She doesn't look incredibly comfortable when she's walking around with this huge belly, so we'd like to alleviate that. We're going to try Trudy on a peppermint oil capsule, which is supposed to alleviate bloating, can help with diarrhoea, all of the symptoms that we've recently seen with her. What do you think of this, Trudes? Juice. You're not meant to crunch it. Well, it smells nice.
Eventually, Trudy swallows the contents of the capsule.
Now we're going to just monitor her closely for the next couple of weeks, see if it's made any difference on how much bloated she is.
The team are pinning their hopes on the peppermint capsule. If Trudy shows no sign of improvement, they'll have to go back to the drawing board. Orangutans are extremely intelligent and inquisitive. In the wild, they have to investigate everything to find food in a difficult habitat and to collect building materials for their nests each night. They often find ingenious ways of using a whole host of items. Leaves as an umbrella to shelter from the rain, and a stick as a tool. Some orangs that have been captive and then released into the wild have shown just how bright they are by copying human behaviour. It's one thing to get in a boat, quite another to know how to paddle it. So, at the park, they're given a variety of objects. Their clever minds mean you never know what they'll get up to. And today, it's pillowcases. When there's something new in the enclosure, Linga is always interested. As the female in charge, Armée has bagged herself a pillowcase already and suspects that there might be something inside. Linga's decided it's a perfect play item. Teenager Xiao Ning is far too cool to be bothering with pillowcases. Armée's not impressed to find hers is empty. But Linga's still having fun. Young Dinda's dropped hers, and big sister Xiaoning grabs it. Funny, she didn't want one earlier. Clever Linga uses it as a sunshade. Meanwhile, in the hammock, Dinda's stolen Armée's pillowcase to make a nest. But as ever, Armée's one step ahead and has bagged herself another one. The newest orangutan arrival at the park has also been using her intelligence to great effect. And it's got Jeremy in a bit of a sweat, drilling, screwing, welding, bolting, double bolting. And here's why. O'Sheen. This DIY queen has been busy taking apart her bedroom during the night.
Overnight, she started dismantling the enclosure. You know, she's a very technical lady. She can undo nuts and bolts.
She's been in the park less than 24 hours. After a mammoth 27-hour journey from South Africa, you'd think she'd be a little tired, but apparently not.
She took down the cat flap and then she used that material to break the camera. So, oh dear. If you're going to wreck anything, the camera's the best thing to wreck, in my opinion. The thing is, she can get away with it, I can't.
So Jeremy's got his work cut out to make sure O'Sheen can't dismantle the tunnel when he lets her out.
We're just making sure that there's no nuts and bolts that O'Sheen can undo. And obviously she's a strong lady, so she doesn't need a spanner. So we're just putting a little bit of weld on each nut, then we can let her into the bigger area and we're not in danger that she's going to take nuts out, nuts off the bolts and dismantle the place.
When O'Sheen was in South Africa, she spent a lot of time in a workshop and loved playing with screws, bolts and keys.
It always amazes people, but it's just a fact. Orangs can do all these things. If you give an orang a spanner, he will undo the nut. And they're not remarkable, it's just what they do.
At the moment, O'Sheen is living on her own, but is due to move in with Armée and the nursery group. Everything needs to be super secure, so it's time to test Jeremy's handiwork by releasing O'Sheen into the outside tunnel.
There's So she can get a little bit of sunshine on her. So she's telling me she wants this door opened. Well, this one. You sure? No. Well, that one. No, you're going to break your teeth.
Jeremy's reinforced bolts are proving tricky, but clever Oisin has got a plan B.
She knows, you see, if she puts the blanket around the nut and then tries to do it with her teeth, that she can get a better purchase on it.
Jeremy's bolts are holding firm, so Oisin makes one last desperate attempt. But admits defeat and heads back inside. Now Jeremy's made the tunnels secure, the Monkey World team are reinforcing the nursery playroom, so Oisin can't take that apart when she moves in.
Oisin has learnt to do this by watching people in the workshop back in South Africa. Well, of course, if she starts doing it now, she will just train our chaps to do it. They will learn off her, the same she's learned off of the guys working in South Africa. We're well on schedule now. There's no reason why we can't get this Oisin proof by tomorrow morning.
Next time on Monkey Life, it's night feeds and nappies for Mike as he collects his latest foster baby.
Mine's a gibbon life for the next few months.
And new arrival Fidget settles into his new home.